So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Really excited. It's a beautiful day, mostly outside of the sun. Uh, my name is Antonio Reynoso, and I'm the president of the greatest borough in the city of New York, which is obviously Brooklyn. So very happy to be here. See, Lori has gone to a citywide position, but still knows where her roots are, so we're extremely grateful for the commissioner. I want to thank all of you for coming out today on what is maybe the hottest day of the summer. And so, of course, I want to thank Magnolia Tree for hosting us. Well, we were going to be hosted in an air-conditioned room, but now we're outside, but we're still being hosted by Magnolia. And we want to thank you so much for having us here today. Really appreciate you all. But in some way, today's heat is one of the many reasons we're here today. Did you know that of all the Brooklyn neighborhoods, it's areas like Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, and East New York that top the list as areas where residents are the most at risk of dying from extreme heat? One of the reasons? Green space, tree cover, parks that are grassy instead of blacktops. Well, it's from that respect for the life nature gives us that Magnolia Tree Earth Center was born. And I want to tell the story a bit because it matters. It all starts with the tree lady of Brooklyn, Miss Hattie Carthen. Miss Carthen moved from Virginia to Bed-Stuy in the early 50s. And by the 60s, she recalled that within a decade of moving to Vernon Avenue, the block had only 3 of the original trees remaining. So Miss Carthen decided to do something about it. She planted tree after tree after tree and got the community to help. 1,500 new trees across 100 blocks. Yes. But that wasn't it. While Bed-Stuy brought in new saplings, Miss Carthen stayed, caring for and watching over the old trees that were there too. Now, here's where our famous magnolia tree comes in. Long loved by Miss Carthen, the 40-foot tall magnolia was uncommon for New York, typically unable to survive the harsh winds and the cold winters of the north, but somehow surviving decades right here on Lafayette. The reason is the row houses of brownstones, one of which we're right in front of right now, whose toasty cellars warm the tree's roots and whose buildings block the magnolia from winter's harsh winds. Well, in the late 60s, Ms. Carthen learned that the city had plans to demolish those brownstones to make room for a parking lot and new apartments. This was, of course, unacceptable. She quickly formed the Magnolia Tree Committee to seek any chance to save the tree that was quoted a $20,000 price tag by developers to build a wall to attempt to protect the tree, albeit fractionally, from the New York elements. To this, Hattie said, while nobody had $20,000, this is not an affluent community. We did think if we could raise $5,000 or so, at the same time educating our children to the value of the tree and all trees, perhaps somebody would help us with the rest of the money. Well, Hattie and the community soon raised $7,000, which the Horticultural Society in New York matched to the dollar. By 1970, she had achieved landmark designation for the tree, forever protecting the magnolia. And 7 years later, these 3 brownstones behind it were landmarked as well. The Magnolia Tree Committee brought the houses and created the Magnolia Tree Earth Center that we see today. I tell you this story because Hattie's vision for this center is just as important as its history. They can't be separated. Hattie recognized that taking care of our environment was a collective act of love for one another and the neighborhoods we call home. And this center is more than her legacy of environmentalism. It's also about what drove her advocacy: community power, nature as a force for the education of our young people, and our right to breathe clean air, find solace on a hot summer day, and walk streets lined with the same beauty that sits in the soul of Brooklyn. In a long neglected neighborhood that's now seeing the swiftest gentrification in the neighborhood, in the borough, Magnolia Tree Earth Center is a Black-founded, owned, and led institution whose mission is rooted in social justice, self-determination, and land ownership by and for the Bed-Stuy community. But this center needs our help. Magnolia Tree is at risk of losing to disrepair its home in the 3 brownstones that protect and honor New York City's last living landmark. I'm proud to be here, to be a part of the movement to deliver on Hattie's vision and save the center by announcing today that we are giving $20,000 to the Magnolia Tree Earth Center in an attempt to help save it.
Antonio!
Yes. I want to emphasize, however, that this is not enough on its own. We all need to show up. Elected officials, community leaders, Brooklynites from all over the borough, we all need to do our part in defending the legacy of Hattie Carthen and safeguarding this center of environmental justice for decades to come. So please, tell Hattie's story. Tell people of the 140-year-old Magnolia tree right here in Bed-Stuy, and encourage everyone around you to do their part in ensuring that we don't lose our history and lose our vision for this future. And I want to thank you all, and of course, don't forget to spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Thank you so much. Yes. And now, with us, we have some great folks that have been doing great work in supporting the Magnolia Tree Earth Center. And I want to start up with Wayne, who's the chair of the Magnolia Tree Earth Center. So if you want to come up and say a few words, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Wayne!
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all so very much for coming out here for this momentous occasion that really is going to get the ball rolling in terms of us raising the amount of funds that we need to have the buildings repaired and be just an epicenter for the community and for many, many years to come. But first, I want to thank the person that started this juggernaut going, the person that's been on our side from day one, who's been by our side and just is elevating us to new levels and just won't leave us until we are at that ribbon cutting and having things happen the right way. And that's our Commissioner, Lori Cumbo.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we're really happy that the Borough President saw us fit to give us this just generous award. He is the first politician to give a financial commitment, and I know there's going to be a lot more to come. Over 500 people have donated to Magnolia Tree Earth Center, so we're well on our way to getting it in the right place that it needs to be. So once again, I thank you all for coming out, and I can't wait till we're at the ribbon cutting, which will hopefully be this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Wayne. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Wayne!
Thank you to Wayne. And Wayne just talked about the person that brought this story to me and who's been advocating from day one and has made this like a life's mission of sorts, and naturally in a position right now in the city of New York as our Commissioner of Cultural Affairs. We couldn't have asked for anyone better, and of course, she has to be from Brooklyn. So I want to call up our Commissioner, Lori Cumbo.
Yay! Wow. Thank you so much, Antonio. It means the world to have Brooklyn's Borough President here. I feel that his presence here is a call to the entire borough and the city of New York to saving one of our cultural treasures. We cannot allow COVID and the damage that COVID has done to our city to ravish our cultural community even further. This particular organization, we have to save this organization. It has been a critical part of Bedford Stuyvesant for so many years. We have to make sure that it extends beyond for our children and our children's children. This is our legacy and this is our history. We're on the heels of an incredible year. We celebrated Black History Month, Women's History Month. We had an incredible Earth Day celebration. We're on the heels of Juneteenth. The celebrations are great. The hashtags and the t-shirts are wonderful, but now we have to put that into motion and action, and we have to celebrate the incredible power of an African-American woman who fought, who labored, who sacrificed to make sure that we had an environmentally safe and secure Bedford Stuyvesant. So I'm asking everyone here, all throughout New York City and beyond, let's preserve the great Hattie Carthen's legacy. Let's make sure that this particular organization, the Magnolia Tree Earth Center, is around for generations to come, because this history cannot be lost. We cannot show our children what once was. If you're concerned about gentrification, if you're concerned about housing, if you're concerned about the viability of our cultural institutions in New York City, we have to make sure and put our arms around this incredible organization. As Wayne said, We had over 500 contributors to put their money where their mouth is and to make sure that they put their dollars into saving this organization. We have the 500, but we need about 5,000 contributors to really breathe life into the organization and to make sure that it stays for years to come. So I want to thank all of the elected leaders. I want to thank the community members, the Board of Trustees. I want to thank the entire DCLA team, particularly Lance, and everyone that put their arms around making this happen. So the Borough President has given us a challenge grant. He has put forward $20,000, and we need to match that contribution in order to do the necessary repairs that are so needed and so important for Magnolia Tree Earth Center. So please make sure you put your dollars there. Please make sure we match our great Borough President's contribution and investment. And we look forward to celebrating, as Wayne said, at an incredible ribbon cutting that will show the power of what we can do when we work together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our great commissioner. And now we have. One second. Oh, we're gonna do that after the speaking. We're gonna tell you where you can donate, because they will catch you. They will find you.
Magnolia Tree GoFundMe. Just Google it.
Yes. So now Magnolia Tree GoFundMe. Now we have our council member, Chiose, who's also somebody that's been supportive of the work that needs to be done here. And I want to be clear, there are a lot of complications to helping this center out. And we have to do a lot of things to get it to a place where we can finally get to a ribbon cutting. Our funding really allows for us to lay the foundation for future funding from the city, the state, and the federal government. So I just want to say that the fact that I'm the first is just I have the distinct pleasure of being the borough president, and my funding is something that can go to this project. But there are restrictions and things that happen at the city and state level that make it much more difficult for them to receive funding to see this ribbon cutting happen. So everyone is excited and on board to get there, and this again is going to be something that's going to help us. But our council member actually started work on social media that really drew a ton of attention to the project, and a lot of these 500 donations came from his effort in using his reach in social media to get us there. And I want to call up the council member of this area, the great Chiose.
Yay!
Appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank the Borough President for gathering us all here today, as well as his testament to always being a champion for this community. And I appreciate your partnership, not only within the work that you're doing for Magnolia Tree, but across this great district. The Magnolia Tree Earth Center is a hub for culture and environmentalism, as well as a crucial neighborhood landmark. It means something so dearly to me, not only as a son of this community, but also as the council member that represents this community and chair of the Committee of Cultural Affairs and the New York City Council. I also want to extend my deepest gratitude to Wayne Devenish for his tireless efforts to keep the center above water for as long as he did. Thank you, Wayne. Now it's up to us to finish the job. Borough President Reynoso's investment is a powerful step toward the goal of saving this institution. We thank him for his commitment and also hope it inspires more private donations to help us reach our goal. Think of this $20,000 investment through the grant of the Borough President as a down payment, as well as a bat signal to the rest of this community, borough, and city that we need to save this institution. And for those who are still unsure of this moment's importance, I'll speak on exactly what we are fighting to protect. This is a historic landmark, central to the character of this proud neighborhood. But we aren't fighting to preserve some relic of the past. The Magnolia Tree Earth Center has continually and consistently been an active incubator of Bed-Stuy's best. Events are held here, classes are taught here, books are read, and the world is studied, and Brooklyn is improved for all. Yes, it's a historic building, but it's also a current treasure.
That's right.
The task at hand is to build partnership between government and community to save the center, both to preserve our past and to continue its living legacy. Thank you again to Borough President Reynoso thank you for all for being part of this, and thank you to every single community member, individual who has donated, elected official who has stood up to protect this great institution. But I see that the ribbon cutting is on the horizon, only if we continue to keep the pressure up and continue showing up for this great center. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And of course, being in Bed-Stuy, and it just really feels like the center of, I want to say, black joy in Brooklyn. And I'm extremely grateful for all of the elected officials and the work we've done here. And we're working together. We're all communicating, and I want to be clear, from top to bottom in every level of government, we're all going to be doing our part to save the Magnolia Tree Center. And then a partner in that work is our Assembly member, Stephanie Zinnerman.
Good morning to my partners in government. Borough President, thank you so much for this inaugural gift to the Magnolia Tree Earth Center, Commissioner Cumbo, and of course my city council member, Chiose, and to all gathered today. I am Assembly Member Stephanie Zinnerman, and I very proudly represent the 56th District in Bedford Stuyvesant and Crown Heights. And the cornerstone of my administration is just 3 simple points. It is for the progress, it is for the protection, it is for the preservation of these neighborhoods. And nothing deserves more preservation and more protection than the Magnolia Tree Earth Center. And so we are here to preserve and protect Hattie's legacy. Certainly the 3 brownstones that need much, much care through capital dollars. And of course the programming that goes on in the building as well. I always say to people that Bed-Stuy is rich with resources, and we are, and the resources are our people and our institutions. And all of them have stood up to support this endeavor. It is important for our future, and if we're going to progress, to make sure that we are protecting all of the institutions that have given so much to this community. And certainly you've heard from everyone who has spoke before just how vital Magnolia Tree Earth Center and through the work of Wayne Devonish and others is to this community. And so what are we going to do moving forward? When I'm thinking about protection and what the New York State can do right now is to make sure that not only is this a city landmark, but it's also a state landmark, because it is a historic place. And through those efforts, more capital dollars, attention worldwide can come into this community in support of the programs and the buildings that are behind us, and of course that wonderful, wonderful magnolia tree. Right now, there are students in Medgar Evers College who are our environmental justice ambassadors. And they are studying us as a heat island, and they are studying flora and fauna. And this summer, they'll be in the Adirondacks collecting cloud matters and all that they can to make sure that we have a living and breathing planet. But we know we live in our urban environment, and we are fighting all kinds of environmental hazards. We need those young people to know that there's a place in their community outside of school where they can come and they can learn and they can contribute to planet Earth. And so I want to thank you all for your work. I want to thank you for your contributions. I want to thank all of you for keeping this alive. And we all have to leave here with homework. Some people cannot give, but we ask that you do. And so you've asked that question and you've gotten that information from our council member. Some of you can come and volunteer in the Earth Center. Some of you can just continue to tell the story and use your influence on social media. Whatever you can do, we're all in this together, right? There's no help coming from elsewhere. We have to do this. That's right. So let's people, private industry, institutions, and government lock arms and get this done. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. Now, you've heard from folks of the center, you've heard from elected officials, and now we need everyone's support. So we actually have a friend of the Magnolia Tree Earth Center here, Sophia Bandela, who's going to say a few words as well. So please.
Thank you. Thank you. And if I may take the prerogative of a great-grandmother elder and say that I certainly support everything everyone has said. I'm proud to live in a district where Stephanie represents me and she represents me. But I want to think about 20 or 30, 40 years ago, then Assemblyman Roger Green, who was also a supporter, was a supporter of a program that Magnolia does now. And that was, we were the coalition to fight infant mortality. The rates were astronomical 30 years ago. The rates were astronomical yesterday. So when you talk about the center as a place where things happen, our community baby shower, our concern for maternal health is really, really very, very, very important. So I want you to think about that. The tree as a metaphor, a tree has deep roots. We have roots. The tree has branches. Think of our baby shower as one of the branches. There is environmental justice, there is social justice, there is criminal justice, and there is reproductive justice. And so we really strongly believe in that. I'm so glad your office is doing something. I'll be there. And I really want support for what we do on behalf of mothers. You talk about labor. That's labor. Giving birth is labor. So we want to support everybody who goes through that, not just with that time, but everything that the reproductive justice movement requires. I wanted to just put that specific piece in, and thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much.
That was a drop the mic moment.
So I want to plug it in. This Saturday, the Borough Hall is going to have a maternal health expo. So please come out. And if you don't know, black women in Brooklyn die at 9 times the rate as their white counterparts during childbirth. And we have an initiative in Borough Hall where we will make Brooklyn the safest place for black women to have babies in New York City, hopefully in 4 years. And if I get the luxury and the pleasure of being the borough president for 8, we'll make sure it's the safest place in the country for black women to have babies when we're done. Yes. So we're out here working. So I want to just thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the media. Deeply thank you for this, because without your effort, we won't be able to reach the people that we need to reach. So you are allies in this. I know you are objective and impartial purveyors of news, but I just want to let you know we are grateful to you. I do want to thank Lance as well, who called me maybe 2 minutes after I talked to Lori. Lance is calling me saying, this is what you need to do. So I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and my staff. And we are open to questions, and if anyone has questions. And I'm going to need Wayne and everyone to help me here on any information that the press might need, because we would love for you to put our link to the bottom, phone numbers, the GoFundMe. We'll get you all that information before you head out. Any questions?
Could you tell us where this $20,000 grant, where specifically it's coming from, and how much more is needed on top of the GoFundMe? Just explain what you have.
So the Borough President's Office has a limited amount of discretionary funding that it could fund in Brooklyn. And this is one of the projects that we wanted to focus on. We're really focused on comprehensive planning in a Borough Hall right now. And Bed-Stuy is one of the places that has the most parks, but of those parks, the most blacktop, which means that not a lot of grass. They have huge heat index issues, which means that in some days it is 10 degrees hotter in Bed-Stuy than it is in Park Slope. And that all affects our health. So this project checks off a lot of boxes of communities and initiatives that we want to help out. So the $20,000 came from the Borough President's Office, and that's how they have it. And we are looking for more support from private donations and also government officials so that we can get over the hump to get them to this ribbon cutting that we're all excited for.
Come to the mic.
Oh yeah, so we need an additional 40,000. The main thing that we're working on right now is to get rid of that sidewalk shed that's been there almost 10 years. Yeah. So we need to repair the front facade of the brownstone, and another 40,000 will get us there so we can get going. And we actually have the contractor already primed and ready. So yeah.
Yes.
And sorry, the GoFundMe is raising about 50,000.
About 52,000.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Oh, that's not happening.
Exactly. We're from Brooklyn. I was going to say, we're not putting that out in the universe. But no, we won't let it fail. I want to make this a full borough-wide effort. I want all hands on deck. And I really believe that we're going to be able to pull this off because I believe in Brooklyn. But should we fall short, we're going to figure it out. That we will save the Magnolia Tree Center. I'm not concerned about whether or not it's going to be saved. It's how we save it that we're working on now. Because once the big important thing that I learned from organizing when I was just 22 years old is if the community becomes invested, even if they give $5, then they're invested long term to that. That means that this will never happen again. They'll always have a place to go for more funding, for people to come in and volunteer, for people to come in and cut the grass, whatever it is. If they come, if the community gets involved, this is saved forever. Regardless of who the elected officials are, they would never have to worry because the community is going to take ownership of it in a real way. So for us, it's like really trying to get community investment because we could bail them out, but that's only a temporary fix. The long-term fix is Bed-Stuy and Brooklyn taking full ownership of the Magnolia Tree Center.
All right. Too big to fail.
Yes, yes. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much, all, and spread love. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Great job. This is great.
You're the best. Thank you.